I'm Anne-Marie from BMR&x, and today I'm going to be doing a technical, what's that term, what does that mean video for you. I'm going to be talking about how you can help your cure time go faster, how you can make sure that your soap is hard and ready to unmold faster, and discuss something that's a really important technical idea in soap making, which is water discounting. So what is water discounting? Well, interestingly enough, in the soap making process, the water is not necessarily required to make the sodium hydroxide and the oils turn into soap. That's the process called saponification. But what the water is needed for is to be a carrier vehicle for the lye. Meaning, when you add the lye to the water in the soap making process, the lye dissolves, as we have all seen, and then we add that water lye mixture to the oils. But the water is really just there so that we can safely get these lye flakes or the lye beads or whatever you're using to marry and mix with your oils. So what happens if you use less water than whatever lye calculator you're using? Well, I'm here to show you exactly what happens. So soap makers water discount for a whole host of reasons. One, again, it's a faster curing and drying time. Because that water is really not necessary for the soap making process, some of your curing and drying time actually is just that water evaporating out. If you start with less water, that process goes faster. Two, less soda ash. Soda ash is this fine salt that precipitates to the top of the bar, and when it has less carrier, aka less water to go through, you get less soda ash. Three, less glycerin rivers. What are glycerin rivers? Glycerin rivers are the product that is formed during the saponification process, because when we make soap from scratch, and this is why handmade soap is so great, naturally occurring glycerin gets formed. Glycerin is a humectant that draws moisture to the skin, keeping handmade soap a much more conditioning and moisturizing bar in the shower than, say, a synthetic detergent bar. However, when you use 100% water and maybe your soap gets a little hot, you can get something called glycerin rivers. It's just a design thing, not a big deal, but many soap makers do not like it. You would also discount water because there is a better control of any watery additives, meaning, like, say you're like, well, I would like to make a strawberry fruit puree soap. And so you're like gonna blend up strawberries, you're gonna put that in at thin trace or in the soap making process. That's essentially water. So you would need to water discount at the very start to make sure you take that into account. So better control of like watery substances is another reason that soap makers discount. So if you're listening to me and you're like, well, water discounting sounds amazing, why wouldn't I do this literally all the time? Well, one thing, I almost always do it all the time, like about a 10% water discount when I'm soap making, but there are some reasons you wouldn't want to do it. One, if you're a beginner, let's have 100% of the water in there. Let's give you all the time you need to work with your soap making mixture. That is because the less water you have, the thicker the soap can get faster. That makes a lot of sense, right? So if you're a beginner, don't water discount. Things can trace, get to that soap making process where you're ready to pour into the molds faster. And then the second reason is gel phase. Gel phase is this really interesting process where the soap gets up to 180 degrees inside the mold. This is a normal part of the soap making process. It, interestingly enough, is not essential, but if you water discount, this process might not happen completely or fully. So you may end up with like a circular gel phase in the middle of the mold, or the gel phase is uneven. So if you're like, I am sold, I would like to do water discounts 100% of the time, but math is mathing and I'm not getting this, how do I do this? Always use a lye calculator. BMR&x has a free lye calculator. It's so easy to use. You just say, do you want to make a solid or a liquid soap? What's your super fat? Then you add all the ingredients that you want, hit calculate it, and it tells you the amount of lye to use for the super fatting amount that you want to do, and it tells you the 100% water that you want to use. So say the calculator comes out and says, here's all your oils, and here's the lye you need, and you need 100 ounces of water to make sure you have 100% in water. All you do is do the math. What is 10% of 100? It's 10. And then you do the subtraction. So 100 minus 10 equals 90. So a 10% water discount in this case would have you using 90 ounces of water to add the full amount of lye into. Now, can you use a higher water discount? Oh, absolutely. You can do 15%, you can do 20%. You could probably technically get all the way up to 40, 42, 45%. But at some point, there will not be enough water for the lye to mix in. And then you'll end up with this kind of odd, chunky, very fast moving situation, which you do not want. So I recommend keeping your water discount at 20% or less. I mean, max 25%. So let's talk about that gel phase thing. This soap here was made with 100% water. There's no water discount. This soap was made with a 10% water discount. You can see that the gel phase almost got all the way to the bottom, but didn't quite get all the way there. And then this soap here was made with a 20% water discount. So that soap really only superheated in the middle, did not go out to the sides. And so if you're saying to yourself, but I do want to do a full 20% discount, what do I do? One, you could soap just a little bit hotter, or two, you could force gel phase. Some soap makers use a hot pad or a heating pad. Other soap makers put their soap in a cooled oven at like 80 to 90 degrees to kind of be an insulative property. But you can definitely see the 0% water discount, 10 and 20%, there is a massive difference in that gel phase depending on the water discount for you to take into account when you're designing your process and your soap design. So for the OG soapers out there, you may remember Clara from Australia. Clara from Australia was very much a scientific method soap maker, and I loved all the experiments she did. One of the experiments she did was called the ghost swirl. Now the ghost swirl was her attempt to show exactly what I did here with the difference in gel phase from the difference in the water discounts. She did something called a ghost swirl, where she made a batch of soap that was 100% water, and then another batch of soap that was a 40% water discount. And then she put that into the oven at 200 degrees to force a full gel phase. And what she found was extraordinary. You could get a very different looking bar of soap in terms of the design. It was very obvious without using any color and only using that water discount to get the design. So I recreated that at home using the 200-degree oven, and this middle, which is so interesting, that is with 100% water, and the sides are with a 40% water discount. And in the oven, what happened was the middle went through full hot gel phase, and the sides never gelled once. It was such an extraordinary experience to go through and look and say, oh my goodness, this design happened just because we used different water amounts. Glycerin rivers. So as I mentioned earlier, glycerin is a naturally occurring byproduct of the soap making process. And in a kind of normal bar of soap, it's actually just fully mixed in. You can't see it, like no one would think about it, except that they of course can feel it on their skin when they're taking a shower, because it really leaves your body feeling moisturized and conditioned, but like it's not there. There's no glycerin rivers. Now, if you end up kind of superheating your soap, or say you used a full water, what ends up happening sometimes is those glycerin rivers will form. So literally you'll be able to see the glycerin in the soap. There's nothing wrong with this soap. This is still soap, but this soap got super hot and really showcases what glycerin rivers are. And this can happen. I forced this one because I tossed it. I used a lot of babasu oil, which is like a heavy oil. And so I forced this one into a hot gel phase to get these glycerin rivers for you. But even when you're not trying, you can get it. Like this is this beautiful bar of clover and aloe soap we made in the studio. And there are glycerin rivers right here where it got super hot. And that's because we didn't do any water discounting. There's nothing wrong with this. It looks just fine. No one would ever suspect that it wasn't perfect in your eyes. These are totally usable bars of soap. But if you don't want glycerin rivers, then you want a water discount, 10 to 20%, and just make sure that you aren't getting super hot. So I made this batch a couple days ago using totally random oils that I would never recommend. I used apricot kernel, seed oil, babasu oil, and like olive oil pumice, trying to see if I could get some glycerin rivers for you guys. And I see a gorgeous one right up in here. So I'm going to cut this right now and see if I can see even more, because I really wanted to drive this point home about temperature and about water amounts and how they can cause these glycerin rivers to just show up Now, again, glycerin is always in your cold process soap. It's just sometimes we don't see it because of the colorant choices we use, because of the heat. Ooh, there are some really pretty glycerin swirls. And you guys, I think this design is so pretty with the glycerin swirls. There's no chance that anybody wouldn't be like, oh, that looks cool. And I love that you can see visually like how much naturally occurring glycerin really is formed in the soap making process. Like, this is stunning. So to really drive this point home, I made this for you. And if you're like, after this comes out, you're like, this is the cutest project ever. Why didn't you do this on camera? We are going to have the recipe linked below, but this is using Brambleberry Sun-Kissed Peach fragrance, which is so yummy in soap. So first of all, 30% water discount right here, 0% water discount right here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but so hard. This is so much softer. And this one moved so incredibly quick. And this one gave me lots of time to work with it. So now let's see in terms of the hardness of these bars. Remember I said the water during the cure time ends up really evaporating out. These ones are 30% just falling right out. That literally, they just fell out. And then these are 100%, little stickier. I just tore that one. Yeah, really a lot softer. Now these were made 18 hours ago, I'll give you that, but still, like, these ones came out perfectly smooth, gorgeous, and absolutely no tearing. And these ones are tearing like a lot. Again, nothing wrong with using 100% water. I recommend beginners do it. And if I just left these in the mold for another couple of days, they would have come out just as smooth. But I wanted to show you the difference in the texture here. So this is our 100% water. Well, there you go, 100% water, super soft, not ready to come out of the mold. This is our 30% water discount, and I cannot put a dent in it, and I'm very sad that I've now ruined this bar of soap because it was a really cute bar of soap. So water discounting means harder bar faster, unmolding faster. I hope you liked today's video, and if you want to see this project, link is down below. Now, I am really curious. I want to help you be a better soap maker. Is there a technical idea or a project you'd like me to revisit? If so, put it in the comments below. I am happy to talk soap making techniques all day long with you, just because I want everyone to love making soap, have successful batches each and every time, because creativity is essential and handmade soap is the best. Until next time, everyone, happy soaping.